Alright guys, what is up? Welcome back at the back of me, and this is my 49 gallon tank. I had this about more than 8 years, and I have a lot of fish that have been survived for quite a long time. I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it's got to do with the water qualities and also the hardiness of the fish. So today I'm going to tell you about my experience on one of the hardiest fish that I have, and I think the longest living fish that I ever have in this tank, it's about around 7 years. Later I'm going to tell you the fish that I have that you can actually purchase, and they're not very expensive, and you can get them easily available. So let's break down to some of the fishes that I have in this tank. I have my black widows. What an awesome fish to have. Black widows or black skirt tetra, whatever you want to call them. I used to have about 8 of them, but unfortunately because I went for holiday, I went for break, and I think the water quality wasn't that good, didn't get to change the water, and unfortunately some of them managed to die. So that's pretty bummed about that. But other than that, if you do good quality changes, regular water changes, and if the perimeter of water is stable, I think you can get really good life out of these fish. And to me, it's one of the hardiest fish that you can get. Now I have 5 of them, and then it's thriving. They're doing really well. You can see swimming and very active, and they're very easy to feed. So if you can Google black skirt tetra, what I feed this, actually, I just feed the regular, mix with this is one of my favorite things you can get from them. It's a micro wafer. You can get readily everywhere. I mean, almost anywhere in where I come from. It's actually a very small. You can feed all kind of fishes, tetra, and even larger fish, angelfish, which I used to have. They also like eating this. Then I also feed them with my wafer. Sometimes you need a little bit of a mix, kind of balanced diet. So I think the key to keeping your fish alive and healthy is feeding habits. So if you can give them a good balanced diet, such as wafer and all these, I think it really helps them in the digestive system. Okay, anyway, so highly recommended. This is, I will rank them number 1 in the tank here. They're long-lasting, one of the long-lasting fish that you can get, and it's really cheap. You can get about $1 or even less, depends on where you're coming from. So, but I advise you to get at least more than 5 or 6. You can see some schooling action, although they're not really a schooling fish, but if you get more, the more there is, the more schooling you can see behavior in them. And the next fish I'm gonna tell you about is one of my favorite. It's my Pleco. Yes, I have right here, and I had him about for 7 years. Yeah, it's a long. Pleco generally can live depends on more than 10 of years, so it's a real commitment if you're really into Pleco. But to me, it's one of the most rewarding fish that you can get, because it's value for money, because you can live for a pretty long time, but you must have that commitment. So I'm going to introduce this fish that I have for 7 years, and it is the L205. They call the Brevis Pleco, and it is it can live for a pretty long time. The length, the maximum length is about 11 cm, so it's not really big. I think it can actually fit in really nicely in a smaller tank. Although they do require much bigger space, I would say the minimum around 40 gallon would be the best. Okay, anyway, the next one I'm going to introduce you. I think everyone pretty well aware of this one if you know about Pleco. Is the L144, the lemon eye, or you can know whatever you want to call them. Is a different variation. It's the Bristlenose Pleco. This is one of my favorite. I have 2 of them, the male and the female. But unfortunately, I couldn't get them to breed. I have no idea why. So I'm going to try that again. This is the really awesome, really interesting characteristics. It is not afraid of, some of the Plecos, they get really afraid when you come near to the glass. But for this one, it's pretty lively, and it's enjoying coming to me every time when I try to feed my food and wafer. My Pleco usually try to, always come out in front, trying to looking for me and associate me with food and stuff. So Also, another really awesome pleco to look out for, the Bristlenose. It doesn't grow really big, about, I think the maximum size is about 6 inch. So highly recommend for beginners as well. It can live up to more than 10 years. And feeding is actually pretty easy, although they do require a little bit of fiber in their diet, such as the wood. So I have a couple of woods there for them to graze on. Although they don't really eat the woods, they just graze the woods. So they need a bit of fiber on them. So make sure you have a little bit of driftwood, which I think driftwood is pretty easy to get. You can, they're readily available in any kind of stores. But their main diet is actually algae wafer, maybe more of a vegetarian kind of diet, more greens in the diet. Although you can mix them with a little bit of, I do have this one, I'm going to show you for my carnivorous pleco, but once in a while they do consume this. So I feed them varieties of food. I don't feed them too much. I think the secret of keeping a healthy aquarium and keeping the fish alive is you don't need to feed them too much. For me, I feed them like 3 or 4 times a week, or if I do feed them every day, I just feed them once a day, and that's about it. Because the more you feed them, the more, if it's any unfinished food, you will release ammonia and decaying food that you have to remove within 24 hours. So my best recommendation is stop feeding them too much, and then they can survive for a week or 2 without food. But for smaller fish, if you have fry, you probably have to feed them more often. But these fish, they're mature, and so you don't have to feed them a lot. So that's a good thing about keeping adult fishes once they start to growing out from them. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is the Siamese Algae Eater. Now don't be confused with another fish which is called the Chinese Algae Eater. I used to have them. It grew really fast, but that fish, it's a menace in a way. I don't like that fish after it grows certain length. Because at certain age, especially the juvenile, it actually did a very good job in cleaning up the tank, the glass and everything. But once it reached maturity, it become a nuisance to other fish, So I would not recommend the Chinese Algae Eater, so to speak. Chinese Algae Eater, but anyway, I recommend the Siamese Algae Eater because thanks to them, I used to have a lot of black bear algae. So if you have a lot of black bear algae, it's very unsightly, but some people like them, but I don't really like them. So if you have black bear algae, and they are the one that will clean up in no time. To me, they are the best algae, black bear algae you can get out there. I try a lot of fishes to try to get rid of black bear, but none as good as the Siamese Algae Eater. So I highly recommend them. They can last for more than 10 years as well, and they grow really fast. And they're not expensive. But one thing you have to watch out for, which happened to me a few times, I bought 5 of them, and 2 of them actually jumped out from a tank. So your tank, make sure that it is not filled to the brim, because if they do jump, it's very hard to, that could be a problem. So anyway, the next one that I'm going to recommend to you, for me, is I have the cichlid. If you talk about cichlid, I have the Bolivian ram. It's not the German ram. I will not recommend that because they're very sensitive to water changes. So the Bolivian ram is highly recommend. Another hardy fish. I think I got it for about 3 Singapore dollars. You can get probably 2 US maybe. So they can grow about this big. I think the maximum size is about 4 inches. So they are considered as a dwarf cichlid. So highly recommend the Bolivian ram. I had that ram for about 3-4 years. I think the lifespan is about 5 years. You can do your research and Google it, guys. So there's the tips for you how to maintain and keep the tank or keep the fish healthy. So make sure that you do not overfeed the fish, and slowly adding the fish into your tank, maybe a month or a few weeks later before you add in any more fishes. Keep the tank to the minimum in terms of the loading of the fish, like I said before. And you don't need to frequently feed the fish. I think 4 or 5 times a week is fine. If you do feed the fish, if you do want to feed the fish, I think once a day is fine. You don't need to feed them a couple of days in a day. So that is my recommendation for the fishes that I just mentioned. The black Skirt Tetra, I highly recommend, is on top of my list. Even there might not be the most fancy looking Tetra, like the neon and cardinals and these, but they are very hardy, extremely hardy, and very easy to feed. And you have the Bolivian ram, you want to keep the dwarf cichlid, and then you have the the Siamese Algae Eaters, which is really great for those black bear algae. So again, highly recommend these fishes. And the Plecos, if you want them to to keep the maintenance on the ground level, I think the Plecos, especially the Bristlenose Pleco, will definitely do the trick. I highly recommend these fishes. So guys, go out there, and if you're beginners, give it a try and try the fishes that I recommend you. And thank you for watching. If you're staying this long and this far, and if you have not subscribed, just subscribe. Let me know about your ideal hardiest fish, or those who have kept fish before. I would love to hear from you what kind of hardiest fish that you ever kept and how long that you kept this fish. Alright guys, I'll see you guys in the next video.